Welcome to the Wolf Daily News Channel. The Ukrainian army has devastated the world of Russian invaders. The past months in Ukraine have shown us how many things that seemed impossible can be. When Russia began its invasion of Ukraine, it seemed to be numerically ahead in the first days of the occupation. Everything was going as Putin wanted. However, after a short term, the Ukrainians show their unity in solidarity and start to resist against the Russian army as a single body. Before long, the Ukrainian heroes stopped the advance of the Russian invaders, and the Ukrainian fighters are now trying to take back the lands occupied by the Russian. A strong blow was dealt to a dispensary building in Stano by Ukrainian fighters, HIMARS systems. The Ukrainian armed forces attacked Tokyo with HIMARS systems, destroying the dispensary building where people could be found. Shortly before midnight, the Ukrainian HIMARS systems launched 6 simultaneous attacks on a dispensary located on the territory of the city of Stano. As a result of the strikes, the dispensary was completely. According to official figures, Tao was shut the night before. The first eruptions were recorded at 10:52 p.m. and a total of 6 eruptions were recorded. Later it became known that the purpose of the Ukrainian troops was a dispensary on those territory people could be found, including the wounded ongoing rehabilitation. As a result of the bombing of P. Morocco said, using the Jaime Marzano destroyed the dispensary of the machine building plant. No official statement has yet been made about this from the authorities of the Luhan Republic, but 6 missiles fired by the HIMARS system reached their target, which led to the complete destruction of the dispensary. Although the second attack was far away, the devastating effect of this distance was approximately 50 kilometers from the line. Meanwhile, another hot development was the Russian attack in the south of Ukraine. After the Russian rocket attack, the Ukrainian army and aid workers rushed to Arrow. On the afternoon of January 14, a Russian Kh-22 missile struck a 9-story apartment building in the Ukrainian city of Dnipro. 46 residents were killed, at least 80 injured, and dozens of survivors were instantly home. Immediately after the attack, volunteers began to work to house, feed and care for those directly affected by the tragedy. Among them was an organization called Embrace the Heroes based in Ossa, which with the help of the 220th Battalion of the Ukrainian Army, organized the delivery of food and medical supplies to Jean. A part of a large residential block was completely destroyed in the Russian attack, which was carried out by a kind of rocket that Ukraine's air defense systems could not hit. There was also serious damage to neighboring apartments in the middle of the rubble after the attack of the Russian army. Pieces of life revealed by the absence of the walls are on display. Kitchens full of refrigerators, parts, pans, and unbroken plates can be seen from the courtyard of the building. 5 days after the strike, residents of the apartment buildings who were not completely destroyed by the explosion were still awaiting police permission to enter the building to retrieve their personal belongings. Taxi driver, Jenny, who was one of these residents, who was on his way home at the time of the attack, described his experiences. Jenny said, "I live there now. All I have left of my apartment is a closet and a cliff. Maybe we can still use a few things in the closet. I'll live there for 30 days. It was a good place, a good apartment." Jenny said, "I had a good dog. His name was Rich. Rich was killed in this tribe. Now we have to find a new place too." Jenny said residents are still waiting for help from the Ukrainian government. Jenny said the government makes promises, but at least for now we haven't received any help from them. A tent city where humanitarian aid organizations live emerged in the courtyard of the apartment. In addition to donated food and clothing, residents can receive medical services and psychological counsel. One of the organizations has been operating since 2014 when Russian forces first invaded the Donbas region in eastern Ukraine. Pablo Dimitro, a journalist, said, "We are used to it. We go to bed late, get up early and get through everything. All we need is water, electricity, and gasoline." Dmitry said, "I wish the West had given Ukraine a few more weapons. This is the only way to ensure that this kind of horror does not wreak." Work has already begun to restore the nearby apartments that were not irreparably damaged. While many of these residents have moved elsewhere with friends and family, many remain in their homes, sometimes less than 50 meters from the rocket attack. It was learned that Anatole, who lives in the apartment on the 9th floor adjacent to the demolished part of the building, does not intend to. Even though plastic sheeting covers the area where the exploded balcony window once stood, the living room's apartment filled with the pencil drawn cartoons on the wallpaper looks pretty much the same as it did on January 13 until he said, "As we prepare to remodel the space, we'll let the kids draw all the walls. The children are all grown up now, but the renovation is still not. This is a memory of their childhood," and NATO said, "I suffered much less than the others. I lost a window. Others have lost everything." Residents who have been evicted from their apartments often depend on relief centers for food, clothing, and medicine. Ava, head of the English for Guilty at the local university, moved in with her brother. He was at home at the time of the attack. Only a few meters closer to the impact zone than An. And said after the Russian attack, "I don't know how I survived. There was glass and rubble and destruction everywhere." Anisimova said, "There was so much smoke after the explosion that I couldn't find my shoes. Even with a flashlight, rescuers came and took us by the hand. It was like upper collapse. Everything was gray. Cars were in fire. Everything is ruined. It's a miracle. I'm still alive." Anisimova. One of the main centers that residents turn to for help is a local support school, Storm. In the early days of the large-scale invasion of Russia, Storm turned their lobby and gym into a humanitarian center. By October, the situation in Genero had stabilized enough to allow the children to continue their previous martial arts. Gymnastics. However, since the apartment strike, the school's corridors have been filled with donated boxes of food, clothing, and medical supplies. Anna, Storm's deputy director, told the newspaper, "It's like the early days of the war are back. It was quiet for a while, as if everything had happened was not going to reach us. But when suddenly a tragedy strikes this close to our home, things take a scary turn." Anna said that we have students, instructors, colleagues living in the affected part of the building. Thank God they were not at home at the time of the attack, but now they're homeless, staying with their relatives. While many locals donate everything they can, Storm comes to the humanitarian center as far as other 7 hours. By a delivery when soldiers from the 228th Battalion of Odessa, who accompanied Maxim Oriev, head of the Embrace Heroes on his tour to Dinero, were embraced many times by the grateful local population. One of the soldiers, Viking, said, "Why it's important for soldiers to participate in volunteer efforts aimed at helping civilians. Like King said, the army is protecting the country, but my brothers fighting at the front are better able to do their. When they know that our compatriots affected by the Russian terrorist attacks are being looked after. I was injured fighting around here in the fall." Viking edit. Viking said, "I'll be back when I'm physically able to return to battle. But until then, I'm happy that the military has given me the opportunity to help through volunteer efforts. This is also part of my ministry." There are many examples like this about the effects of the Russian army's attacks on the city centers. The persecution of the residents of the region is not limited to. In every statement, the West warns Russia that it should put an end to the attacks on civilian settlements in particular, but with Russian officials and the Russian commander. He seems reluctant to step out of Putin's directives. It has wondered how long the occupation in Ukraine will last. The Ukrainian fighters seem quite determined to clear the Washington invaders from nail lens in the spring of 2023. Thank you for watching the video. If you find it useful, please comment and share the video for us. It will make our channel more known. See you in the following videos. Thank you very much.